1, what is your name, please?
My name is Shoji Tabuchi.
Number 2.
My name is Shoji Tabuchi.
Number 3.
My name is Shoji Tabuchi.
Only one of these people is the real Shoji Tabuchi, and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. Now, let's meet our panel. Co-star of Murder, She Wrote, Ron Masak. Syndicated newspaper columnist and reporter for Current Affairs, Cindy Adams. Four-time Super Bowl champion and MVP, Lynn Swan. And Emmy Award winner for the Golden Girls, Betty White. Here's the host of To Tell the Truth, Gordon Elliott.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, settle down, or we'll have to have you strapped into your seats, okay? Good morning, panel. Betty, what a wonderful thing for you to grace us with your presence on this panel.
Well, it's such fun, but this is like being back with an old friend. I used to do To Tell the Truth a long time ago.
And you've gone on to success. And Cindy Adams, we welcome to the panel for the first time. Cindy, lovely to see you.
Thank you, my dear friend.
Okay, let's get right to the first story, presented by our team of challengers, all three of whom claim to be Shoji Tabuchi. I, Shoji Tabuchi, am one of the greatest country fiddlers in the world. As a young classical violinist in Japan, I attended a concert performance by Roy Acuff and the Smoky Mountain Boys. It changed my life. I came home and said, "Mom, I'm going country." I set off for America with my fiddle under my arm, $500 in my pocket, and an extra $100 in my shoe. Soon I was receiving standing ovations at the Grand Ole Opry. I still love classical music, but in classical music, you can't wear cowboy boots or flip your fiddle behind your back and break into the Orange Blossom Special. Hee-haw! Signed, Shoji Tabuchi. Welcome, Fiddlers 3, and we'll find out more about this fiddler who was made in Japan right after this, y'all. Sure, come back now. Welcome back to Tell the Truth. And panel, all these three people claim to be Shoji Tabuchi, top country music fiddler. So let's start the questioning on this with Betty White. Betty.
Number 1, you came with your fiddle under your arm to the Grand Ole Opry. How long was it before you got your first job when you came to America?
About 3 years.
Number 2, who gave you your first job?
I was working in clubs in San Francisco when I first came to this country.
Number 3, when did you really know that you had hit it?
When they stood up.
And where was that, number 3?
That was at the Grand Ole Opry.
Okay, moving right along. Lynn Swan.
Number 3, does Japanese music and country music mix well together?
It does when I play.
Very good. Number 2, what style of country music do you play?
Well, originally I started with bluegrass, and it's just basically I have a 7-piece orchestra, and I play the fiddle.
Okay. Number 1, why did you put $100 in your shoe?
Well, that was my safety.
Cindy.
Number 3, do mothers in Japan make their children take violin lessons like they do here?
I think all mothers in all countries are the same.
Number 2, what is the difference between a Stradivarius and the fiddle that you have in front of you?
Well, Stradivarius fiddles, or violins, I should say, are much older. They're at least 200 years old.
Number 1, what is the comparison to Grand Ole Opry in Japan?
We have Grand Ole Opry in Japan.
That's the comparison, right. Aren't you glad I asked?
Yeah, they got a pretty good copy, but
How do
it's
you like
smaller
that?
and cheaper in Japan. Ron.
Number two, were you born in Japan?
Yes, I was born in Japan.
What city?
Osaka.
Osaka. Number 1, what city were you born in?
Osaka.
Number 3, what city were you born in?
Osaka.
Oh, you
Shit,
all
worked that
got
one
together,
out, Roy.
eh?
Okay.
You must have known each other in Osaka, the 3 of you. When you first saw Roy Acuff, was it in the United States or was it in Japan, number 3?
It was in Osaka.
In Osaka. And number 2, where did Roy Acuff first see you?
Well, I met him backstage when he played in Japan, and he told me to get in touch with him if I ever go to the States, and that's when I came home and I told my mother, I'm going to go to America.
Now, number one, what city did you land in America from Japan?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Number two?
Well, there you go. And they've since written that great Japanese country hit Lotus Blossom Special. Time is up, panel. It's time to vote for either number 1, number 2, or number 3. Our team of challengers will receive $500 for each incorrect vote with a guarantee of $1,000. And if the panel is filled completely, the team will receive $3,000. And panel, if you're ready to cast your ballots, we'll begin with Betty White.
Okay. I know I was receiving a snow job there in the number 2 because he was so knowledgeable, but I cannot believe that he was born in Osaka and speaks such hip American. So I did not vote for number 2, and it was a toss-up between number 1 and number 3. And I finally decided to vote for number 1 because I'm such a Leonard Nimoy fan. Thank you.
Whoa! Whoa! Lynn.
I should just leave it alone because Betty was so good. Frankly, number 3 doesn't look very Japanese to me. Number 1, I don't know. He was almost quick to answer Betty's second question, like he had all this information. But I thought number 3 really kind of looks a little more like Japanese converted in the country. So number 3, you get my vote.
All righty, Cindy Adams.
Number 1 looked too quintessentially Japanese, so I figured, no, he couldn't be it. They would be trying to fool us on this panel. And number 2 gave me a reasonably good answer. Number 3, I just couldn't quite go for his jacket. I'm not sure what that's got to do with it, but it threw me off.
Oh, great.
So number 2, it shows you how brilliant I am. This is, which one do I, oh,
Okay.
there.
Well, let's see if we can break the deadlock. What do you think, Ron?
I had the same feeling as Betty did about number 2. His English was so marvelous. And number 3 said Grand Ole Opry, and those who are country fans know it's Grand Ole Opry. And number 1 said that there is a Grand Ole Opry in Japan, and I'm pretty sure there is, so I voted for number 1.
Okay, there you go. It looks like as you can see, the votes are 2 for number 1, 1 for number 2, and 1 for number 3. So now it's time to find out who the real fiddler is. Will the real Shoji Tabuchi please stand up? Fantastic. Excellent, Betty. Ron, you got it. Now, Shoji, you're going to play for us. Yes. But first, let's find out while Shoji's setting up for his special here. Well, at number 2, 1 vote. What's your real name? What do you do?
My name is Ramin Sakurai. I am half Japanese. And I work for an advertisement company. I'm a courier.
Excellent. Number 3, your real name and occupation.
My name is Richard Herkert, and I design lamps and bedspreads.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, 2 incorrect votes at $500 a vote, so your team will receive $1,000. And now here is Shoji Tabuchi with a little country music medley. Take it, Shoji. And thank you all for being with us here on To Tell the Truth. We'll be back with a lady who was almost mauled to death after this short break. Welcome back to Tell the Truth. Let's meet our next team of challengers.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Debbie Shelley.
Number 2.
My name is Debbie Shelley.
Number 3.
My name is Debbie Shelley.
All right, panelists, it is time to locate the real Debbie Shelley, and here is her story. Please read along with me. I, Debbie Shelley, fought off a ferocious jaguar with my bare hands to save the life of a visitor to the zoo. Although we'd often cuddled the hand-raised jaguar, this particular day, something went wrong. The jaguar snarled suddenly and turned on the visitor. I rushed in to help, and to my horror, the beast sank her fangs into me. I was hospitalized with severe injuries. It was a great honor, though, to receive the Carnegie Medal of Heroism. and I would do it all over again to save a life. But next time, I'll carry a long stick. Signed, Debbie Shelley. Well, welcome, ladies, and good luck in your efforts. Let's start the questioning with Ron Masak on this one. Ron?
Number 1, what zoo do you work at?
At our zoo in Madison, the Henry Viola Zoo.
Number 2, why was the visitor there?
Well, she was allowed into the cage because she had known the jaguar at another zoo. The jaguar came to us at age 8 weeks.
Number 3, are you from the United States?
Yes.
Okay, and you hand cuddle this jaguar. And then at what age would you stop doing that? What age would you stop going in to a jaguar?
Probably about 5 months or so.
5 months. And then...
We'll leave it there, Cindy Adams.
Number 2, I once did an interview with a jaguar, and they told me not to wear perfume or anything that would excite him. Was the visitor wearing something untoward?
No, it wasn't that.
What was it?
Well, she had a sandal on, and the jaguar thought that that was a toy.
Number 1, when you went in, what did you do? What was the first thing? What did you grab for? His eyes, his legs? What?
No, I didn't want to hurt the jaguar. I went to the side of it and started pulling it back, trying to pull it off of her foot.
Number 3.
We've got to leave it there, Lynn.
Number 1, how old was this jaguar when she attacked you?
At the time, she was 7 months old.
Number 3, how big was that jaguar?
Around 50 pounds.
Number 2, are you going back into cages with wild animals?
Not these days, no.
Not these days. Number 1, where was the first place the jaguar attempted to attack you?
She turned her head and she grabbed at my leg.
Just pussyfooting around for a moment. Betty? Sorry. I'm sorry, Betty.
You're going to put me on the spot. Where does a jaguar... Number 2, where does a jaguar originate?
Originally in South America.
Number 3, can you tell me the difference between a jaguar and, say, a leopard?
A jaguar's spots are different. They're a rosette type, and they're also a larger animal than a leopard.
Number 1, how did the jaguar make out after this experience? A lot better than I did. She made it through there.
Okay, well, time is up, panel, and it's time to vote for either number 1, number 2, or number 3. Our team of challengers will receive $500 for each incorrect vote with a guarantee of $1,000. And if the panel is filled completely, the team will receive $3,000. So if you're ready to cast your votes, we'll begin the voting with Ron. For whom did you vote?
Well, I have to tell you why I voted for number 3. Because number 1 and number 2, well, first of all, number 3 said that 5 months would be the limit to go in there. Number 1 said it was 7 months. And both number 1 and 2 agreed on the sandal story. And it seemed to me that if the visitor had known cats and known animals, that it wouldn't have worn something that would have been a toy.
Okay.
That's just my theory. I don't know if I'm right.
Cindy, we'll find out.
Number 3 seems to me to have been too calm and premeditated. I don't feel that she would have jumped in and surged with emotion. Number 1, I don't know why, just didn't seem to me to be the sort that would be doing that. Number 2, because she's very slight, and we wouldn't think number 2 being slight would battle a jaguar. That's my vote.
All righty. I've seen you on the Hollywood freeway. You've battled a few jaguars. Okay, Lynn.
Mostly Australian ones.
Well, I just thought, number 1, she was kind of standing on top when you were reading it. She seemed very interested in the story, almost like she was listening to it for the first time. Number 3, it was very quiet. But number 2 just seemed to have all this information about the person and the story, where the jaguar came from, the details about the sandal. And I think if you're there, you remember those little things. So number 2, you've got my vote.
Okay. And finally, Betty.
Well, I thought, right up to the last minute, I thought it was number 3, because up top when you were telling the story, she was listening very carefully, as you would if you were involved in something, so I thought I had it all figured out. But I didn't stay with her, and number 1, I loved what you said. You didn't want to hurt the jaguar. That was marvelous. But I somehow saw number 2's eyes light up when she was talking about the animal, and I had to go with number 2.
Okay, well, there you go. 3 votes for number 2, none for number 1. Could this be a big surprise? And 1 vote for number 3. Now let's find out who the real hero is. Will the real Debbie Shelley please stand up? Ron's got it. Perfect score so far, Ron. And sitting in the audience, I believe, is Michelle Roddy, the lady that Debbie saved. But Michelle, could you stand up and say hello to us? This lady's life, of course, is because of Debbie's actions. We don't have the sandal, but what happened to you? What were your injuries as a result?
I had an injury to my thumb. I had a nerve severed and an artery and some fractures and also quite a few cuts and scratches. And
God, goodness. Number 2, 3 votes. You fooled us. What's your real name? What do you do?
My real name is Nancy Van Anders, and I own a greeting card company called Trackers.
All right. And number 1, what's your name? What do you really do?
My name is Linda Goldman. I'm president of the California Tip Toppers Club, which is a social club for tall people.
Oh, really? Well, there were 3 incorrect votes at $500 a vote, so that's $1,500 your team will receive, and thank you for being with us here today on To Tell the Truth. Thank you. We'll be back to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience right after this. Welcome back, and now it's time to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience. Burton, who do you have for us today?
Well, today, Gordon, I'd like you to meet Bill Villanueva from Houston, Texas.
Hi, how are you? Hello, Bill. Hello. Welcome to our Andy Warhol 15 Moments of Fame on the NBC Network.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here's your chance to play one-on-one with someone from, of course, here that we're going to introduce you to. He's a gentleman with 2 stories, Charles Ara. Charles, welcome. Now, Mr. Ara is going to tell us 2 stories, only one of which is the truth, Bill. If you can spot that true story, you'll win $500. Now, Mr. Ara, what is your first story?
Well, I am really Father Charles Ara. I married Kimberly Conrad to Playboy publisher Hugh Hefner.
Well, that may or may not be the truth, Bill. Let's listen to Charles' second story. Charles.
Well, they call me the king of blackjack. I am so good that I am barred from every casino in Las Vegas.
Hard to judge, isn't it? But to help you, Charles, to win that $500, our panel's going to ask one question about each of those stories. We'll start with story number 1, that of the Hefner marriage, and Betty.
Was Hugh Hefner wearing pajamas when you married him?
Ah, he's a great man, but he was wearing a tuxedo. It was a very traditional wedding.
Thank you.
Lynn.
Your dress, you're so dapper. Tell me, where do priests normally buy their collars?
We're at Carter's, downtown Los Angeles.
Okay.
Cindy Adams.
What does a Hugh Hefner tip for a thing like that?
Just a normal, generous tip and an opportunity to see the mansion and swim in the swimming pool and all that sort of thing. So it's, my emotional bank account is very rich.
Yeah, a couple of secular pleasures with a bunny. And Ron.
Where was the wedding held, Father?
The wedding? Where was the wedding held? The Playboy Mansion West, not too far from here, right off Sunset Boulevard, near UCLA.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, William, you've heard Charles' first story. Now, story number 2, blackjack. Betty again.
If you're dealing blackjack, what number must you hit? A dealer cannot stand on
16.
what?
16. Yeah,
Thank
16.
You.
Yeah, I can't go any... Yeah,
Lynn.
all right.
All the money you won in Vegas, you obviously didn't spend it all on your well-tapered wardrobe. Once again, what's the most amount of money you ever won in Vegas?
$26,500. That's one reason why they're barring me from Las Vegas.
Cindy Adams.
You're so shy, I do hate to ask you any personal questions. But how about the temporary Donald Trump's casinos? How do they, what's their attitude towards you?
No, they don't want me there either. No, he's poor enough at the present time. Have you been there yourself?
What's that got to do with it?
We ask the questions, okay? We ask the questions. So, Ron?
I think there's a pilot in this for you somewhere. With 4 decks in a shoe now, obviously you can't count the cards. Why would you still be barred?
I was a great math genius when I was in grammar school. And my memory can really tell me what cards have been played and what cards haven't been played.
I thought we were going to go back 30 years then, Ron. Okay, now, Will, here's your cross-examination. You've heard it. Did Charles, in your opinion, marry Hugh Hefner, or is he the king of blackjack?
Well, he answered the questions on gambling so well. I think he's probably more comfortable in the casino than in the church.
Well, if you're right, you win, or both, I don't know. If you win $500. Charles, what's your true story?
Well, hooray! To tell the truth, I married Hugh Hefner.
No. Sorry, William. No. Well, we do have a very nice gift for you. Thanks for joining us today. It's a playing this one-on-one. And Charles, for stumping our player there, you'll receive $1,000. Okay, can I ask, very briefly, of all the people in all the world that you could have had marry him, why you, without being rude?
Why me?
Yeah.
Well, they went through the yellow pages, and my name begins with A, so I was the first one that they found.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much. We'll be back with more right after this. Don't go away. Well, panel, that's it for this edition of To Tell the Truth. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye now.
Flash back to the 70s with a Match Game Posse in that 70s hour tomorrow night at 11, only on GSN.